Hey everyone, hi. Thank you so much for coming to this event, and I need to be in front of the camera right here too. So we're super happy to have this event at the Simone de Beauvoir Institute, first ever university to have installed a women's studies program in the whole Canada. And now also we have a program in interdisciplinary studies and sexuality as well. On this 25th day of Black History Month, we are very happy to be welcoming Titi and Beck from Whateva to talk about a critical approach to TikTok's glamorization of the housewife trend. So, a little bit about Titi and Beck. Titi is one of two podcast hosts of Whateva. Passionate about social justice issues, she loves to voice her opinions on issues of race and women at any given time. Titi also is a poet and a spoken word artist. She enjoys fashion and views her short hair as one of her favorite accessories, which is, well, which is why you can see her rocking different color and length as of now. Let's go. Every couple of weeks. And Beck is a Black feminist, book lover, and fashion enthusiast, and avid conversationalist. She enjoys sharing critical thoughts on any topics with friends and strangers alike. Platform boots are another passion of hers. So buying new boots is, as they tell you themselves, one of their favorite personality traits. Expressing herself by any means is what really counts for her through her personal style, her personal media accounts, or podcast. She wants to be heard. So we are super happy to be welcoming Whateva, and can't wait. Give a big round of applause.
Hello. All right. Hi, everybody. Hi. How's everyone doing today? Feeling good? You guys came on a Saturday, so shout out to you guys for real. And it's not too warm outside, so thank you for coming.
So I'm gonna introduce the topic of today. Oh, first of all, how many people have TikTok? Okay, good. I was like, if there's two people, I don't know if they're gonna get what we're saying. But so the topic of today is a critical approach to TikTok's glamorization of the housewives trend. So Titi and I are both like on TikTok. We love that app. And if you're familiar with TikTok, every couple of months, there's a trend. And when we say trend, there's like a topic that is going to be trending. Obviously, depending on like what you like, what you don't like on TikTok, a customized For You page. So you have a customized like, depending of like what you like, the algorithm gonna show you different videos, different like topics, different creator. And so when we were approached by Yancy, the Institute of Simone de Beauvoir, to talk about something that was related to race but also gender, we thought about this topic just because we've seen a lot of, in both of our TikToks, we saw a lot of discussion about house returning to the home. So like really promoting I don't want to work anymore. I want to be a housewife. How to be a housewife. How to attract a man that's going to take care of you. How to XYZ. And it's really different from I don't know if you remember the 2010s era, like the buzz babe era, the like, I have my job, I have my own money, blah. It's like a complete 180. And we really wanted to take the time to analyze what this trend is really about and what it means for like the future generation. And and also take the time to talk about how it was already a trend decades ago, and yeah, what it means. And we're gonna take a Black feminist approach to analyze everything. So that's for the subject. Hopefully you're gonna enjoy. Please feel free to raise your hand, interact, ask question throughout the presentation.
Yes. So like any good topic, we need, of course, to define what a housewife is. So a housewife is a woman whose main occupation is caring for her family, managing household affairs, and doing housework while her husband or partner goes out to work. So I'm going to start by just briefly going over the history of labor. It's very brief when it comes to women. So obviously in hunter-gathering societies, we would have women that would pick berries, and then on farms, women would milk cows, and in cities, women wove. So that was at, prior to the industrial times. Now, once the Industrial Revolution happened and women had to move with their families to cities, they left what was, multi-generational homes where they had their moms around or their grandmothers or just different family members that were helping them around the home. They now were in cities, and for the first time, they were introduced to what we know now as the nuclear family. So for the first time, mothers had the sole responsibility of taking care of the home, which wasn't the case before. You always had a community of women helping you out. So that happened in the industrial period. So then we experienced the nuclear family for the first time. And because of that, because we're in the industrial period, there was a lot of work. So domestic work became very accessible and also affordable. So women would hire workers to help them out in the home while their husbands would be working. So they would have assistants to do that. Now, the First World War happened, men had to leave, go to work, and because of that, there were a lot of job opportunities that were making themselves available for women. So then the domestic workers would, instead of being domestic workers, decided to just work in factories. So we already started to see a bit of a decrease of domestic workers, and then women had to take care of the home alone once again. And then World War II happened, and then they needed the women's help to help, fill the positions in the military because there were a lot of vacant positions, men perishing or just losing limbs, so we needed the help of women. And then once again, a bigger decrease of domestic workers. But then once World War II ended, we were like, thank you guys for your help. Time to go back in the home. You guys need to leave some jobs available for the men. Now the real men are here to work. Y'all go back in the crib. So that's what happened. That's really where we began to see the normalization of the housewife. The 1940s, 1950s housewives, the first real surge happened after World War II. And Beck is going to explain the effects of that.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the housewifization of women and what it means. So the term housewifization was brought up by Maria Mies, who is a socialist, a socialist teacher in Germany. And when we talk about housewifization, we're talking about the process by which the division of labor has regulated women to the role of housewives. So when we talk about the role of a man, role of a woman, in everyday conversation, it seems like women are meant to be at home, as if it was like a natural evolution that we just, by like natural causes, we ended up in the home. And okay, this is what we're doing now. We're doing the chorus. We're doing every domestic labor. But what Maria Mies want to show with the concept of housewifization is that it was not a coincidence. It was forced. It was violent, and it was a deliberate choice to put the woman in the homes. And it's really important to understand that concept, because this is the concept that's gonna really make you understand our critiques of the glamorization of the housewives that's happening today. So in the historical development of labor, division was not peaceful and natural. It was violent. Like I said, it was violent at first. What do we mean by that? With the industrialization of the world, what happened is the system of patriarchy is not new. So before capitalism, patriarchy did exist. It did exist in countries, in Asian countries, in Arabic countries. It was the women are at home and the men were outside. The thing is, even back then, the role of the woman has still value. Like the woman is the mother of the nation. She does matter. But when we talk about the system of capitalism, women and woman labor became a resource. So something that has to be exploited. The difference with the men now and the men back then is men have this, the relation that they had with nature kind of broke because nature also became a resource, something that has to be exploited. And so everything else became that, included the women that were at home. So when we talk about domestic labor, it's a labor that is not valued. It's a labor that is not even seen as labor. It's seen as a resources just like water and air. I'm entitled to a woman work in the house. It's something that a man can exploit, and that makes a big, big, big difference when we talk about the system of capitalism, because, okay, now we're exploiting the woman. And also, again, it's because it's essentialized, and by that I mean because we present this like it's something that is done by nature, we don't even question it. It's just like it's supposed to be like that. So again, it became a resources, and our civilization is also about removing women from public sphere, so making them lose political power. They don't have any say when it comes to the discussion in society because they're removed in the home, and their sole and only priority has to be domestic work. I want to talk also about how this is a tongue twister. Every time we say the housewifization and colonization goes together. So what Mariam Mai's explore is that before it used to be when a woman stay at home, it's middle class, rich, white woman. So it was not every man had the right to have a family. Only rich people had what we call now the nuclear family, because only rich men could take care of a woman in the house and everything and pays for everything. So with colonization, what came about is that with capitalism, we have this idea that everything has to be conquered. So every other land has to be conquered. For us to make progress, someone has to lose some right. So the European goes to other countries, take their land, take their resources, so they are subhuman. We make progress, but they degrade. And it's the same in the home. So the man conquer the man. She's being conquered. She belongs to him, and she becomes like a resources. And what changed is this idea of family became available to poorer men. So before it was only only a rich man could have a family. Now, a men that don't really have any power or any wealth could have a wife. She stays at home, and now he becomes powerful. So that's what happened was, it's like this class, so the working class, that was more like together, everybody goes to work, everybody comes back, everybody do all the chores. It created a divide between the man and the woman. So I'm of a higher rank because I go make the money, and you're a sub rank because you have to stay at home and you have to take care of the children and everything. So she says that as the housewife is linked to the wage earning breadwinner, to the free proletarian as a non-free worker, the freedom of the proletarian to sell his labor power is based on the non-freedom of the housewives. So proletarian of men is based on the housewifization of the woman. So him becoming a citizen, him becoming a man, depends on the woman staying at home and not having rights. So, and all this thinking is linked to, again, colonizations, linked to the idea of you have to conquer to progress and to become civilized. So once the man that has less wealth, have a wife inside the house and take care of her, he become a civilian. So he now has right, and because she lost some right, he gained some. So that's how capitalism worked outside the home, but also inside.
Yeah. So, what were Black women doing during that time? Black women were, unfortunately, they did not live the same experience, obviously, as white women being housewives. And Beck explained how housewives is actually a pretty oppressive position to be in at that time. And then a lot of women were obviously fighting for their rights to go to work, to be able to, survive on their own. Meanwhile, Black women had always worked. And obviously, I'm going to speak in terms of slavery, post-slavery days. Black women have always worked. Black women have always worked simply because they have never been given any other choice. Mainly because when we're looking at I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but when we're looking at white women fighting for the right to vote, or white women fighting for the right to fight to have decent jobs, they would do that and then go back home to Black domestics, Black women working. That's always been the case. Black women were more likely than white women to participate in the labor force from 1870 up until approximately 1980. So Black women have always worked, and the reason for that is because of social norms that were placed on Black women when it comes to slavery, or let's just look at racism in general and how race was created, because race was created to justify racism. Race was created before before slavery and all of that. So when white people were creating racial classifications and they were deciding, when you're a white person, you are this way. When you're a Black person, you are this way. There are certain classifications that were placed upon Black women. And those classifications were that Black women were strong, they were resilient, they were tough, they were beastly. And because of that, these stereotypes obviously follow us to this day. Even in past slavery, we still deal with those effects to this day as Black women. But what that did was that Black women had always been put in situations where they had to work, and they had to work really, really tiresome jobs. They had to work jobs mostly in agriculture, manufacturing jobs that white women were not deemed qualified for, but the reason for that is because white women were viewed as soft and gentle and delicate, so they would not be put in these positions to have to work these harsh jobs that we were putting Black women through, because obviously we had told them, because when race was created, in order to justify the gruesome things that Black women would have to face during slavery and all of that, we had to, in order for the white people to be able to sleep peacefully at night, they had to tell themselves, Black women can go through anything, they can withstand anything, they're strong, they're able to take it all. So in slavery, Black women went through irreparable damage, and that followed past slavery as well. So the jobs that they were working were really, really harsh jobs. So they've always been working. Also, another reason why Black women have always worked is because when we're looking at white families, one of the reasons why men were so adamant to work and to have their wives be at home is for their image and the ego as well, because there's this idea that as a man, if your wife is working, you have failed as a partner, you failed as a father, you failed as the leader of the house. You're not able to do your task as a man to provide for your family. So you did not want to seem lazy and an unfit partner and an unfit father. So you would work and you would have your wife be at home. However, this stereotype of being seen as lazy or a deadbeat, it's not necessarily a stereotype that affected Black men that much, or Black men feared that much, because that stereotype was placed on them regardless of if they were going to be present in their families' lives, or regardless of if they were hard workers. They were already going to be seen as lazy or as deadbeats, because again, when we go back to the classifications of race, that's one of the things that we've decided to associate with Black men. Black men are lazy, Black men are unfit, they're unfit partners, they're unfit fathers, they're deadbeat fathers. Why is that? Is because during slavery, when they were going to separate the fathers from their families, that they could use that as justification. Well, they're unfit dads anyway, or they're lazy anyway, so that's fine. So because of that, that fear of looking lazy did not necessarily affect Black men that's the same way. So women would still work, whether they they were married or not, they would still work. And it's not really like they had much of a choice, because they would not be able to survive off of the money that their husbands were making. They were not making a lot, obviously. White men had a leg up over them in terms of education, since we were coming out of slavery. They had also, because of racism, job opportunities were not, flying through the roof. So they had to go for the low-income jobs that were not paying enough, jobs that were physically demanding. So because of that, one person's income was just not going to be enough for the Black family. So the women had to work. And on top of that, a lot of Black women just did not have husbands at all. They were single mothers. A lot of them were single mothers for different reasons, losing their partners during slavery, or if we're looking in modern days, you can look at mass incarceration, still byproducts of, slavery days, mass incarceration, people living in low-income neighborhoods having to make ends meet, so they would sell drugs to survive, or even just consume drugs and get drug problems. So the women a lot of times had to make it on their own, whether they had a partner or not. They had to make it on their own. So all of that made it so that Black women have always worked. So this idea of a housewife was just not something that was feasible for them. It's not something that was necessarily an option, or it's not something that was normalized at all. And it's really in the recent times that we're seeing Black women being housewives, because it's never really been a thing. Even me, growing up, I don't know any Black housewives. I don't know any. But I know a lot of white women that are housewives, but I don't, like my mom's friends, like everyone worked. It's just not feasible for you not to work, whether you have a husband or not. So let's get into what we're seeing today on TikTok so we can get into modern days. We're gonna show you guys a couple videos, and then we're going to dissect them and basically link it to the history of what we just spoke about. We're gonna start with this one.
If you truly want a man, do not be this ugly.
This is for the men who somehow think that they're the prize. Darling, I'll pay my own rent, my own car notes. Credit's looking good. Somehow you think you're the prize and I should submit to you?
Yeah.
A good man is very much a prize, because most men are not good. You can get your own value when you act this way towards men. You make men no longer value you because of your nasty attitude. Just because you can pay your own bills doesn't mean you shouldn't submit to your man. Submission is basically you blessing a man with your kindness, with your love, with your patience, with your understanding. It's you encouraging him. It's you being warm and welcoming.
Tell me what you do for a living.
Oh, I love my husband.
And how did you get that awesome job?
Well, I became a better human being, and I became feminine, and also shocking, submissive. So that was the secret.
So what are your tips to women that want to be a housewife?
To embrace it. It's an actual job. You just can't get it in the public or private sector. Like you need a man to hire you for it, but that's okay. Because if you think about it, you submit to your boss who makes you clean stupid shelves at your retail job, right? Like, wouldn't it be better if you were cleaning your own shelves at home? You know what I mean? And your boss wants to sleep with you in a good way. In a good way.
And where do you meet these men?
Well, I think women should work for the men that they want to pursue. I know that sounds crazy, but it's really easy. So if you think about it, like you want a lawyer, right? So then you should be a paralegal, or if you want a dentist, then you should be a dental hygienist. But these are considered, I guess, high value status professions. But I think that's a really good model that not enough women utilize. Because women will bully the woman who is the secretary that marries the doctor, okay? But who has a
boyfriend today as a stay-at-home girl's round. The first thing I always do is make him a coffee. He loves these lattes with some cinnamon on top. And then I take it down to his office for him. And then he handed me his water bottle to fill up. And I realized I had to change the water filter, which I needed some help with. And then I continued to fill up his water with ice cubes. I tidied up our room and made the bed, unloaded the dishwasher, and then reloaded it. Made Luke some chicken salad on toast and made him another latte because he always likes to have a second one in the afternoon. I sorted all of our laundry into piles and started putting it into the washer. When it came around dinner time, I started to get cooking. I made dinner every night. Tonight I made lamb meatballs, which is one of Luke's favorite meals. They turn out so yummy. And then after dinner, I cleaned all the dishes in the dishwasher. And I think I forgot to cut this part out. Oops. I made him tea, and then I hung up a lot of the laundry.
If you truly want a man, do not be disowned.
This is for the men who somehow think that they're right.
Oh my god, this is traumatizing. Okay. Okay, these are really short clips. This is like a trend on TikTok of you're thinking of dropping out of school, but then something, you're reminded of something, so you guys will see. Oh no, not her. Hold on. Yeah.
On va.
This one?
Yeah.
Don't let this degree fool you. I'll still be someone's housewife after this. Period.
So, that was fun. So, what is happening on TikTok, guys? This is basically...
So we've seen multiple videos, and there's like multiple trends about the same topic, and there's also tutorial like how to be submissive, how to be a housewife, how to do this for your boyfriend, how to be, I don't know, picked. And I just want to say something before I dive in. Another thing with the housewifeization is when the poor started to adopt that model of like the woman stay at home and the man goes be the breadwinner. Something that the government didn't want to. They didn't want poor people to have more babies. So they didn't want women and the men and the women to have too much sex. So we have like more like subhuman, so like poor babies. But they didn't want the women to not have children because they would become lazy, according to them. So what they said, what they would promote and say to the woman is the way to show your love is to be submissive. That's where it comes from. So a way for a woman to show her love and like show appreciation to her husband, her significant other, is that she is submissive. And that was like in the 18th century, and just like till this day, people are going to tell you like a woman, when a man loves you properly, you're going to be submissive, as if it was like a natural response, like a natural state, but it's not. It's really not. And what we're seeing on TikTok is like a repackaged repackage patriarchy, repackage capitalism. I think when it started, it really sounded like not anti-capitalist, but on some like I don't want to work. And everybody was like, yeah, no, me either. I don't want to work. I kind of don't want to work. I don't want to work. I don't want to work. I don't want to work. And then it started to become like, oh, maybe the feminists were wrong. Maybe we should go back to the home, ignoring the whole history of like what is a housewife and why people fought to not be housewives anymore. So it's like a perspective of well, after white women fought to go to work, it's like, oh, it's not giving. I kind of wanna. This is the whole idea behind it. Like, oh, it's not giving. I want to go back. I want to go back in the house, but it's kind of both. What's not being understood in these trends is like both are capitalist labor. Being in the home, it's not because you're in the home and you're doing domestic work that it's not labor. It is labor. It's just not seen as labor. It's seen as something that the woman owe a man. And how it is presented on TikTok is like cleaning the shelves is not that bad. Like it's just like choice. Like, oh, doing dinner every night, it's not that bad. Without like the whole comprehension of like being financially depending on someone, not having things in your own name, having to ask for money to do anything. And if something happens, if you end up in an abusive relationship, it's harder to leave if you don't have anything in your name than just like if you have your own money. And that's not presenting. It's just being presented as, well, if you become a housewife, this is all the perks that you have. And what is being pushed also is going back to your feminine energy. You have too much masculine energy. That's why it's not working, whatever that means. You should be more feminine. You should your nails has to be done. And then the tutorial are really that, do your nails every week. Make sure your hair is done. Make sure you're dressed properly. Make sure you exude that feminine energy so a man will want to take care of you. Yeah.
We see that a lot, and I think that's one of the most watered down ways to let us that, but it's basically saying the same thing, be that. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of that, like divine feminine energy, tap into your feminine energy, how to tap into your femininity and remove your masculine energy. We're seeing a lot of that. And when it comes to that, it's a very oppressive, it's based off of a lot of oppressive systems that we don't tend to realize because it sounds really cute. Like, okay, yeah, I want to tap into my feminine energy. And it almost sells it as if anyone can do it. And that if anyone does it, you can all benefit from basically finding your husband, right? Like everyone can get that if you just follow these steps. And there's femininity coaches, people paying for courses, like online, femininity courses, all of that, because you assume that if you do all the right steps, A to Z, you'll be able to find that happy ending. And that happy ending under patriarchy, under capitalism, is being picked by that man, regardless of anything. That's the goal, that's the end goal. But who gets to participate, who gets to benefit from that really is beautiful women. Now we're gonna break down what that is, obviously, but when it comes to that luxurious lifestyle of I don't gotta pay no bills, my husband got it, blah, blah, blah. I get to just be pretty and make Luke his coffee in the morning and all of that. The people, you have to, regardless of how beautiful, regardless of how amazing it sounds, you have to give something in return, and that the things that you're paying for is you're paying in beauty. You have to have beauty in order to do that. It's not everyone that can access that lifestyle. And it's for a reason. It's not, you see that it's a very specific group of women that are saying these things, and it's a group of women that adhere to the societal beauty standards. It's beautiful women. And I have a quote by Aisha K. Faines. I say this all the time, rest in peace to her. I always use this quote: women are deemed valuable in society if they possess 3 attributes: beauty, youth, and fertility. Those are the main 3 things that you need as a woman to be viewed as top-notch woman. Like if you have those three, then your life experience will be just a little bit better than those that don't have one of those three attributes or just don't have all three. So I always go off of this. So beauty for women, unfortunately, it is a commodity, and that's what you use. It's a form of capital almost, and that's what you use in order to be able to live that lifestyle. So it's not everyone that's going to be able to have that lifestyle. However, the way it's marketed, the way they give you all of these tips, you almost feel like everyone can make it. Everyone can do that, but unfortunately, you have to be viewed as beautiful. Now, when it comes to beauty, unfortunately, beauty is not in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is not subjective. Beauty is political. The more systems of oppression you benefit from, the more beautiful that you are. Beauty is desirability politics. Just by a show of hands, who is aware of the term desirability politics? Yes, no? Okay. So basically, desirability politics creates a hierarchy of existence and determines who deserves love, care, benefits, and basic human rights based on seemingly individualistic preferences that are rooted in bigotry and biases. So desirability politics is what we often call pretty privilege. And pretty privilege is not a thing. It's desirability politics. It's political. Because the more systems of oppression you tend to benefit from, so let's say if you benefit from fatphobia because you're thin, or if you benefit from ableism because you're able-bodied, the more checks, the more boxes you check, then the better quality of life that you have. And whether we realize it or not, every day we go about life trying to fit these boxes. We try to fit these boxes and little day-to-day things that we do, because your life experience is better the more boxes that you check. It's not just about physical appearance. It's about finding jobs. It's about finding housing. It's about not going through medical neglect. All of that is linked to the way that you look, and it's all political. So it's not just are you cute? It's can you benefit from all of these systems of oppression? And unfortunately, the way that it's presented, it's really as if everyone can be that. Everyone can be this divine feminine woman. And that's what these femininity coaches are selling, because obviously it's profitable for them. We're in a capitalist society. But not only is it not beneficial for everyone, but us participating in those movements actively participates in the oppression of those that cannot participate in them. So we're going to get into how. But before, I want to read just a little part of a book, The Belly of the Beast, The Politics of Antifatness as Anti-Blackness by Deshaun L. Harrison. So in the book, they say, prettiness with a capital P is a set of structural advantages over someone who is ugly with a capital U. Ugliness is based off of sets of beauty standards rooted in anti-blackness, anti-fatness, anti-disfiguredness, anti-disabled, cis-heterosexism, ableism. Prettiness is not aesthetics. It's a system of metrics that determines one's value. This perceived value determines our quality of life. Your distance from blackness, fatness, disability, etc. is what gives you access to medical care, housing, communal and intimate partner safety, education. People believing you're not of a certain access does impact the way that you live your life. And we're aware of this. This is why we move in certain ways, because we want to make sure that we're checking those boxes, not just because we want to look cute, but because we're aware subconsciously that our quality of life will be better the more we benefit from different systems of oppression. Now, what these coaches are promoting, these are just certain tropes that I've noticed from just listening to some of the videos or just reading some of the articles that they say. Fatphobia is one main thing that we see a lot of. When it comes to femininity and femininity coaches, diet culture is never too far ahead. Diet culture is right there in the things that they say. It's slick, but the ways that they say it. All of the 6 different green juices that they tell you to drink in the morning instead of having a breakfast. Like have your breakfast, just different things like that. Or, make sure to watch your figure. That's how you're gonna get your man. Watch your figure. What does watch your figure mean? Watch your figure means don't get fat. So what that says to fat people is, not only is this not for you, but we're actually trying to not be like you to get a man. So us being part of these movements is us, and whether we think we're doing that or not, is us participating in fatphobic culture. This idea of wanting to quickly snap back after giving birth, who cares if you're going through postpartum depression, drag your ass in the gym and lose the baby weight, even though your baby is still breastfeeding. You can't even chill for a second. You have to immediately think about your body, thinking about snapping back. This idea of don't let yourself go. If you have a man, don't let yourself go. We all know what letting yourself go means, right? So all of that, we're promoting fatphobia and us just wanting to participate in this divine femininity movement. It's also incredibly ableist. It's incredibly ableist. Just the little things, we don't even realize it. A real woman cooks and cleans for her husband, cooks and cleans for her husband. Okay, but what if I have physical restraints that I can't do that? I can't cook and clean. Now what happens? Okay, I'm not womanly. That's what we're saying, essentially. That's what we're saying. Also, just little things about a real woman is polite and she's receptive, but we don't realize that certain people that are neurodivergent, this being polite and receptive, sometimes you miss social cues that, unfortunately, for people that are neurotypical, you might seem rude, but it's really just because you didn't catch on to the social cues. We're not making the world accessible enough for you to do that. So then you can't be feminine, you can't be womanly because of that. So these are certain things. Obviously, the movement is incredibly racist as well, and we don't realize it because Black women are a big part of that movement, very, very big part of that movement. We have to hold ourselves accountable for that because a lot of these videos are created by Black women, but it does promote racism because this idea of femininity in itself is a model that was created against Black women. When we look at what is femininity is soft, it's gentle, it's dainty. This is the complete opposite of what Black women are in terms of how Black women were classified when race was created. Black women were looked at as angry, tough, strong. So as Black women, we try so hard to chase femininity and to adhere to femininity when that model was not even created for us. That's why whatever we do, we will constantly be masculinized. We have countless stories. We see Black women on the media, beautiful, dark-skinned women, and then they're gonna be treated like monsters, monsters for no reason, just because they're Black. It's because femininity is created against Black women, but we chase it so badly, and we chase it so badly that we actually become anti-Black in our ways of chasing it. You see it all the time, Black women making videos of, oh, ever since I let go of the crazy weaves and I started to wear bobs because I'm embracing my femininity. You're being anti-Black to Black women that are wearing red weaves, for example. Or, oh, I see these videos all the time, I ditched the long nails and the 25 millimeter lashes, and we're being anti-Black by saying that us adopting an aesthetic that is less, quote unquote, ghetto, in order for us to chase our femininity, we're being anti-Black by doing that, and it never works. It never works. As Black women, we try so badly to chase femininity, but we will constantly be masculinized. I remember watching a reality show, Love Island USA, and one of the girls on the show, Cash, beautiful dark-skinned Black woman. She had short hair, gorgeous, the best outfits in the villa, the dress down, amazing heels, everything. But she was treated like a gremlin. And she was incredibly feminine, but they didn't treat her as such. But she chased femininity really badly, but they didn't treat her as such. Yeah, so because of that, Black women going really hard to chase femininity is not, thank you. Sorry, guys. Okay, we're back. So yeah, Black women trying really hard to chase femininity is just not beneficial in any way. And when you look at these videos, for the most part, if you go on YouTube and you type divine femininity, for the most part, it's going to be Black women making these videos. And it's not a coincidence. It's because of us trying so badly to seek femininity and we know that we don't benefit from it, so we try and we try and we try and we try, so we make these videos. But the women making the videos of day in the life of a housewife is not Black women. The ones that are actually getting there, the ones that are actually at the finish line doing all of that are actually benefiting from it are not Black women. It's white women. Day in the life of a housewife is not Black women making these videos. But how to heal your feminine energy, how to step out of your masculine energy, it's Black women making these videos because we are trying really, really hard. And we are rewarding the girls who are getting the things they were already set up to win to begin with because they benefit from desirability politics, and we're setting others up to fail. We're setting Black women up to fail, to benefit from a system that they were never meant to succeed in to begin with. So this is why I feel like it's very, very harmful to Black women. So I'm gonna So where is this coming from? I think there's many reasons for why we're seeing this rise all of a sudden, because it's just we're seeing this discourse a lot in the last few years. First of all, we live in a capitalist society where individualism is promoted a lot. So it's all about you, caring about your identity and finding yourself regardless of who you're harming in that process. We don't really care. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing that a lot. And also because in the pandemic, everyone really went through this period of self-discovery. We had a lot of time to do that. And there were a lot of benefits to that. A lot of people were able to, come out as queer or come out as non-binary because they didn't have the pressures of the world, and they were able to sit with themselves and be like, you know what? This is actually who I really am. But people did that, and sometimes it kind of turned left a little bit, and they went and did all of this research and got all of this information and made it seem as if it's the first time someone is talking about housewives, when it's like, no, this information's been there, you just figured it out today, And also, I believe that after the death of George Floyd, I think there was a shift a little bit when it came to Black women and the way that they viewed themselves, because there was a lot of pressure put on Black women. And that's why I can empathize, with certain women that want to really participate in this movement, because I know how it felt as a Black woman after the death of George Floyd, and with the death of Breonna Taylor, and just everyone just looking at us for answers, and it's just we have to be the strong ones, and and then we're dying, and Black women are going and protesting, and they're front lines in the protests, and then they're dying, and it's like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to struggle anymore. I'm done doing this, so let me find another way. And for some, it's following a model that is based off of white supremacist standards, because it's escapism in a sense. So I can understand, but it's still very harmful, and we're still harming others by doing that. But these are some of the reasons why I feel like we see all of this coming up.
Also, for I think I never understood, when we talk about feminism, we often go by waves, like the first wave, the second wave, the third waves, and I never understood why. But I think with what's happening right now, it's because after each wave of progress, there's a backlash, automatically. Yeah. A year ago, that's where they remove abortion as a constitutional right in the States, and it's a direct backlash of, again, after 2020, there was also the Black Lives Matter movement, but there was also a lot of people denouncing talking about sexual assault and everything. So it's the direct backlash of the movement. Each time that you're progressing, there's a backlash, a conservative backlash of maybe we should calm down a little. And I think because people are overwhelmed of the information, they're like, oh, I wish it was more simple. So like you said, it becomes an escapism. I don't want to talk with the soft life, with the I want to be that divine feminine energy. There's also I want to be dumb. I don't want to know what's happening. Yeah. I want to be a bimbo. There's also that.
The bimbo,
I want to be a bimbo. Yeah. I don't want to know nothing. I'm just a girl. I just want to be pretty and just be a girl, which I get it. But ultimately, I always say politics, even if you don't, even if you don't have no interest in politics is always interested in you. So
yeah. So that's why we can understand where it's coming from, but it's still, like it's still very much rooted in harmful systems of oppression. You doing all of that, you're essentially saying you're okay with being fatphobic, you're okay with being ableist, because you can't participate in that and not participate in fatphobia, ableism, racism, all of that. All of these systems of oppression are linked to this idea of the perfect woman, and the perfect woman is straight, cishet, like she's cishet, white, thin, able-bodied, all of that. So that's...
Can we switch?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, like we said, there's a lot of discourse about being like how to be this feminine woman, how to be the perfect woman, how to be like, if you do that, your natural like feminine energy is going to come out. And I think it's a lot of gender essentialism. So what is gender essentialism? So gender essentialism is a theory that is used to examine the attribution of distinct, fixed, and strict qualities to women and men. So it's like women are like this and men are like that. And what that does is that it erases queerness completely. So queer people are not part of the conversation when we talk about divine feminine energy, not at all. I think it even goes against the essence of queerness. So I say, why don't you love me? I think because it's the question that people are asking when we're pursuing as Black women like femininity, like I want to be loved. So I want to fit in the gender binary as much as I can. So the gender binary is heavily pushed on women, heavily pushed on Black women. But Black women are actually chasing the gender binary so bad, and that what that's done is there's still a lot of transphobic rhetoric when we talk about like femininity, because they are not. It's like, oh, they're not true women. I'm a true woman. There's this almost this fear of like being replaced or like having no value at all, because the only way that Black women are seeing like I'm gonna be valuable is if I reach that feminine status. So there's a lot of rhetoric of I'm a real woman. Even with surgeries, I'm a real woman. I have a natural bodies. I have this, I have that. So the discussion of gender, I want to talk about gender. I want to cite Judith Butler, who the way she describes gender is as a performance. So I don't know her theory is basically like, I don't know what gender you are until you perform it. And that includes your look, like how you look like. So someone is not a woman or is not a man until they start acting. And it's the repetitive same actions that makes you a man or makes you a woman. Like if, let's say, every man would start wearing dresses tomorrow, but like for years, like every man just start wearing dresses, dresses would become a man thing. Because we decided by the action, okay, every man are wearing dresses every day, they go to work, to school, and dresses, okay, now it's a man thing. So she said it's the repetitive actions that make you the gender that you are. And it's funny because as much as we want to claim that I am born a woman, I'm a natural woman, all the tutorial of that, like do these actions to be feminine and to be picked. So we're actually pushing that theory that it's our action that make our gender. But if you talk about gender with like a feminine coach, like, no, I'm a natural woman, you're a natural woman. It's just like, it's unlocking that natural states, but it's by action. We're always gonna go through the action. So now there's just a brief reason why queerness is excluded from the conversation. Queerness doesn't fit in that nuclear family that we were talking about at the beginning, where we talk about there's a man, there's a woman, there's children. Queer people, whether it's trans people, whether it's people that are attracted to the same sex, don't fit that theory. So I feel like the violence against being presented as queer or just being queer is just it's just intensified, and it's always a problem, the way it's going to be bring up in discussion. So, like just recently, Jeffree Star did an interview. Jeffree Star is that beauty guru, a gay man who's really feminine presenting, and he's part of the queer community, and he did an interview denying the existence of non-binary people. He said like, oh, I don't believe in they them. That's why conservatives love me. It's she or he, and that's it. I'm real about it. Yada yada yada. I think people are just inventing things, and he's part of the queer community. But it benefits to him still being a white man saying these kind of thing and erasing a part of the community. So I think when we talk about feminine, masculine, when we stay in the binary, just the fact that this is what you can be and there's nothing in between. There's no, we're going to talk about the relationship with men and women. You're never going to see like, oh, and what about woman and woman, man and man? No, it's going to be like heteronormative all the time. Queerness is just by default, literally, is erased of the whole conversation. And I think, again, when we go back to the year 2020, when we go back to quarantine, there's so many people who felt like they found their identity during that time because they didn't have any gays, or they were really like sitting with themselves, coming out, like divorcing husbands, getting girlfriends. And it was a big waves. And I think, again, it's not a coincidence that there's a backlash like 3 years after, not even 3 years after. It's directly linked. And I think that when we participate to this kind of conversation, we have to know that this is by design. And again, it's not new. It's not new. It was designed to be like a man and woman and the family. The nuclear family is a capitalist idea. I think people often say like, oh, the capitalism break the family, but it's almost the opposite. Like the government pushed this idea of family, and when they want to have homophobic rhetoric, that's what they're gonna say. And the children. Let's think about the children, or like we cannot push these ideas onto children. So it's really this idea of family, the nuclear family, is a capitalistic idea. It's a capitalistic ideology, and we have to be really, 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 really careful and really actually aware of the impact that it has on the queer community. And conclusion. We wrote conclusion, but
And we said we're gonna freestyle the conclusion, but that's it.
Is there any question? Any remark? Yes. Yeah, no, you.
Thank you so much. I have a question. Now I see things differently. So I'm thinking, I thought, like, my thought process was that, for instance, skincare targeting Black people, and Black people targeting Black people working in the skincare industry, like dermatologists, and for catering to Black people, I thought it was in order to answer to Black people's skin needs, making sure that everything is being not targeted to other skin composure, but really my people from myself, like my skin. Because what I've been told is that not everyone has the same type of skin.
Sure.
And even sometimes dermatologists will not understand Black skin as well as Black caregivers or doctors. So now I don't know if my thought process is still aligned or not, but I'm a bit confused with the kind of the marketing and the commodification of the Black body with this, because I really thought, yay, Black skin is being taken care of, and now I don't know.
Do you want to answer?
Yeah, because I think with everything, like skincare is, I always say skincare is really important, but at the same time, do we need like 17 different products to do our skincare? That's when it becomes excessive. That's when it becomes, okay, what are we trying to market here? Do we really need all of these products? Do we really need anti-lines and all of that? That's where I think it becomes excessive. But we do need skincare that is specifically for Black skin. So that is necessary. I think we have to kind of, there needs to be nuance though to that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know if you wanted to add to
Yeah,
that.
that's basically it.
Yeah.
I think nothing is like mutually exclusive, but
Yeah.
I think we have to be careful when we talk about diversity, because anytime that we talk about a subject and like now, okay, we have skincare for Black people, but and if you criticize it, it's gonna be like, oh, but they include us, so it's good. Yeah, it's good, but like you said, do we need 17 different products? And what's the end goal? Is it that you are like satisfied with your skin, or you always come back to buy more products? It's really the nuances.
Yeah. Did you want to answer to that question?
Well, I think the difference is like, is it about skin health or is it about consumerism? So
I asked myself the same question.
yeah, because if it's about skin health, you're probably gonna need like
Yeah.
3 products, 4 products. Then again, if it extends to like 20 products that you don't even know where you're using them, and sometimes if there's bleaching involved, then you can kind of tell that it's not about
Yeah.
health. It's just about marketing. But I had a remark. Thank you for the presentation. It was really good. It was about beauty being sold as an accessible outcome, like everyone can access beauty or become beautiful. And it made me think about the alpha male and like how wealth is sold in that same manner. And like everyone can be a billionaire, but it's like you're closer to poverty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Than you are from becoming a billionaire. So I don't know. I just thought that.
It is linked to that, definitely.
Yeah.
On va en quel ordre?
Ici, puis après, je pense que there was someone here. So it's gonna be here, here.
I will ask the name.
But I think you had your hand out first.
Yeah, it's at the end.
Did you have? No, okay.
No, see, ici. You, yeah.
Okay, sorry. You go.
Sorry, I don't like to point you, but what's his name?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. It was really insightful. I'm just wondering, just like thinking about what the other side of the subject could be about being a housewife. And I'm just wondering, like, because I've heard some people say that that's what they actually want to do, and I was just wondering, like, what is your take on that? Actually wanting, like, making the choice of becoming a housewife.
I think it's great. The problem is not being a housewife. The problem is that this labor is not being valued.
Yeah.
So I think people that stay in the house should be compensated, and it should not be like, oh, it's because she cares for her home or she cares for her children. Yeah, this can all be true, but you're doing actual work and you're supposed to have a compensation for that. I think we could have like looked at the domestic workers fight. That's what they're saying. It's like domestic work is real work and it's supposed to be valued, and oftentimes as Black women, it's going to be immigrant women that are doing this work, and it's not immigrant people. It's going to be their first work. It's going to be domestic work, and it's not valued, and they are underpaid, and the whole fight is about that. So I think being a housewife should be part of this and being valued, and they should be compensated for being, yeah, I'm a housewife, I work in the house, and this is your pay grade.
Yeah.
I think that should be
I feel the same way. I think it's wonderful if you want to be a housewife. Like, I have no issue with that. It's just when we start making it seem as if it's like your natural thing to do, like it's just a natural instinct, but it's like you're working like full on. And a lot of women actually do that labor after coming back from work too. So it's just a lot of work. And for me, I think it's great. It's because some women do genuinely aspire to do that. That's what I want to do. I think we don't live in a society right now that looks at it as if it's actual work. So I think in that sense, I'm like, in what ways are you benefiting from that really? But it's not because I'm not judging the woman, I'm judging the society that's making it not seem like a valuable job, like, because it is labor, it is a job, you know? So yeah, definitely, if you want to do that, go for it.
Like I think one of the things I find a bit sad is because of TikTok and all. It's like honestly, it's just a whole marketing thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's like all these women are saying, "Oh yeah, it's my choice. I want to be like this pretty housewife and everything," but is it really your choice? You know, it's like a whole part of like, because they are selling like I keep seeing in my For You page like, all the time like just organizing like okay, so organizing my fridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, go on. Like it's just like a whole aesthetic, but like all these women just want to fit in, and it's just so sad because it's a whole marketing thing. Like organizing my fridge and just look at my bio, my like these Amazon
storefront, yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Anyway, yeah.
I think that's what's is annoying. I think with capitalism, everybody thinks that they're doing something by choice. It's my choice, but no one was marketed to, no one was influenced by nothing. Just in a vacuum, I wanted to do that, but we're all influenced, and like there's a reason why we all want to do this right now, but this is never being questioned. And the fact that we push women to not question things, to be like, I'm a girl, I'm just a girl, I don't think, and I just want to do that, is really, really, really harmful.
And that's the worst because even me, like I don't even know what are my real choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Every day
Me
it's
too.
just like, do I really need this lipstick? Not.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I don't know how to say it. Like,
No, for sure, definitely. Like, I always wonder, like, if I was alone on a planet, like, would I even make some of the decisions I'm making? Would I want to do my makeup this way? Or would I want to, you know, dress like this specifically? And for a lot of the things, the answer is no. Like, we're smart people, but we're not that smart to come up with a concept just like, yeah, like, I'm gonna, today, blush is a thing. Like, no, it's not. Yeah.
I love the presentation. It was very insightful.
Thank you.
One point I was a little bit, I forgot how to say it in English. Shaken up was the videos. So basically, there's a lot of videos on the internet about femininity and all that. But I was thinking about it during the presentation. Most women can't afford therapy. Most black women, I know personally, they can't afford therapy. And when you watch those videos, they give you actual insight on how to deal with stress, how to eat well, how to get a better quality of life. So I don't really see a problem with those kind of, looking to be, I wouldn't say feminine because women are feminine because they're women.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're not a woman, even if you identify as feminine, you are what you are, because that's it. But I don't see any harm with the videos. That's why I didn't get. Because I myself, I watched some of those videos. I kind of felt guilty about it.
No. I was saying that to Titi. I watched one this morning. She was like, how to be a baddie? I was like, okay. Like, it's not, I don't scroll past the videos. And we both love makeup. We both love to dress up. We both, like, a couple, like, days ago, I felt like shit. And I put my makeup on and I was like, yes, I feel way better now. Like, it's not on some, like, because whether we like it or not, it's our reality. That's the reality that we live in. You're treated better when you present yourself a certain way. So it makes sense that when you dress a certain way or when you're at your best, you feel good. That just makes sense. That just makes sense. But what we want to emphasize, it's always to question things. Like question, like, why do you feel good when you have makeup on, like, versus when you don't have, or like, and just don't, because it's easy to attach your value to that. Like it's really, really easy if you're not like constantly aware, and that brings more mental problem. But it's not mutually exclusive. You don't have to like scroll down and not watch a video, because again, I watched the video this morning because I felt like her makeup was really nice. So I was like, I want to be a baddie too. So it's not wrong, and we're not saying that on some like, oh, we don't do that, you should not do that. Actually, we are immersed in that. We're doing that every day. It's just on some our level of awareness of like what's happening.
Just leaving it open for you to question, like question why you like it. Like just question it. Just question yourself. There's nothing wrong with sitting down and be like, for me, does it make sense that I'm watching a video of someone telling me to be submissive? And then if yes, then why? Like, why does it? Just question, like, leave your mind open for questioning.
Yes.
Okay, I will take the conversation a little bit for the beginning. When you talk about the housewife and being a wife, I just want to mention we have some situation. It's a solution to be a wife, married woman. Because when you're looking for a female or woman living in refugee camps, the only solution for them to being a wife, to going outside from the camp. So here we couldn't blame the female to accept this role totally. And what we're noticing right now recently, in Europe more than America, we have this revolution about if I'm working at home, I need a salary, I need insurance, I need something. So probably this is another theory even about like my time and my job as a female or a male working at home. It should be valued and paid, some of this. So I just mentioned this point, I have a lot, so I will start here. And link it
That's a great point.
That's a good point.
I will link it back for the social media. Right now my big question, because I don't have a TikTok and I don't like it. And honestly, when we are looking for social media, who is responsible about allowing people to publishing there? And I'm talking about who's qualified, and this is a free spaces for sharing idea and thought. And we're threatening a big theories while we're just allowing everybody to put his voice without monitoring. And recently, if we are following the news, Twitter's, Instagram, and everybody start looking for an amount of money to pay it to be like influencer or like a big voice exists. Which I want to hear from you as a user, how you choosing who want to follow and who's I want to take or accept this idea. And even as a user, how we can fight another side. Because if I'm an activist, I can go to the street and protest against the government. But if I'm using TikTok, how I can protest?
Okay. This is a big question. Okay, first of all, I really love your first point about there's people that have to survive, and like being a wife is a way like an other to survive. That was really the presentation was really from a first world point of view, American point of view, but that is really important to remember, because I think from our perspective, we often like judge like people that are in the global South who have these realities, but it's valid. Also, regarding social media, the thing is, social media we know it's bad. Like we know, we definitely know like the negative impact that it has. But my views on social media shift all the time, because I say like for activism, we made a whole episode on like ableism with a Black woman who has an handicap, and social media is her way of doing activism. Going out is not always an option for her. She wanted to go to the protest, the Black Lives Matter protest. It was on Saint Laurent, it's a hill. She cannot walk up that hill. So social media is a useful tool, is a legit tool when it comes to spreading the words, when it comes to organizing, when it comes to reach the people that you want to reach. There's people I would have never meet if it was not for social media. But I think when it comes to big subject like this, let's say feminism, I think you cannot take all your theory on social media. I think it's really dangerous to be like, I'm a feminist, and then you follow like all the feminist accounts, and then just be like, set. I'm sad. I can speak up because there's so many nuances. Like reading is so important. Actually, just having sources that are outside social media, having a community that is outside social media is really matters. It really matters because I think all the nuances are being lost. If I follow like 50 feminists and I'm just like, okay, yes, now I can talk about feminism and do a podcast about feminism and just never everything I know, I learned it from someone else. I never like went to the sources. I didn't talk to like older feminists who went through this type of event. All I know is the other like 20-ish years old people that are also feminists. I think it's really dangerous, and I think we actually losing recipe because what's happening in like TikTok, Twitter, there's a lot of fake debate. Like there's gonna be a lot of debate about like one subject, and I would be like, well, if you had read this book about this person from 1990-ish, they already talked about this. They already like set the tone. So I think social media is a useful tool and it's legitimate, but also just being there and take all your sources from like that way, not even like opening a newspaper is really dangerous. It actually does not work. Oh, Yancy, why?
Hi. I love the point about gender essentialism. I don't know how many people are familiar with that. Gender essentialism is basically looking at gender as it's your biology. And if you look at it from a Western, like America standpoint tied with colonization, there are a lot of indigenous people who did not identify with men, women being the binary. There was roles of, well, two-spirits people who identified and exchanged labor roles or roles in the house. And they were not necessarily deemed all women do this and all men do that. So Judith Butler with the performance, it's really, okay, so how do you interact? And also that makes me think of what's the worst thing that I don't know today, but when I was growing up, what's the worst thing you can say to somebody who's feminine presenting? Oh, you throw like a girl. Oh, you're a girl. Or say for a man, or you're gay. It's always something with either homosexuality or femininity or being a woman that is deemed as an insult. So I thought it was a great point. And lastly, when you talked about like trends regarding gender, if men started to wear dress, pink was a color for men in the 1980s, like in the 1800s. They were wearing wigs. They were powdering their faces. They were wearing makeup. They were wearing dresses, heels. So everything changes. If we look at that through, I think we just ought to reflect on like where we get these ideas to see. And the nuclear family model and queerness, a lot of queer folks didn't have the rights to marry, didn't have the rights to do a lot of things because that model was pushed on people and it was the norm. And if a nuclear family model is in place, then there's more labor, there's more capital, and then the country is a stronger country because we have more money. So we just need to think about these things as well. But it was a great point. It's really interesting.
Your point is great.
Men wore pink.
Yeah, I read the thing about the pink. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, wigs, everything. Yep.
I have two comments. The first one, I'm not too sure about because I haven't read the Bible in a long time, but someone spoke about, well, there's always this conversation about submitting to your husband, and I feel like this is like a recurring thing in the Black community, and I'm just like shutting down. This is stupid. But it spoke about Eve was supposed to submit, or she submitted, and I think what's interesting in religion is that it was a punishment for her. Like she ate the apple, and then she was punished with submission. So when we talk about it being natural, it doesn't make sense to me because she was supposed to be a companion at first. So I think that's interesting in this conversation. And my other comment is, when we talk about housewife and femininity, it just seems like tiring because when you have a job, you have a vacation, you have a union, you have sick days, you have a pension, but when you're a housewife, you don't have any of those assurances. And I remember seeing a woman on TikTok speaking about how she was like, she had graduated and then she wanted to become a housewife. And then for 10 years she was a housewife. And then her husband cheated on her and he left. So she tried going back to the labor market and she didn't have any skills. She didn't have a resume. She didn't have money. And there was a weird thing that he didn't pay alimony, so she was left completely alone. And it's like, it's so dangerous and isolating to be in that position because then you just are starting from the ground 10 years later and you have nothing to help you. So I think this is like a really important conversation to have because sometimes when we talk about submission being so easy, it's like, oh, you just have to like be a housewife. Well, it's like 24/7. When you have the job, you read 9 to 5, you close your computer, that's it. So,
Yeah.
But it's not easy. It's still annoying. But
Yeah, but you see, that's why the point of like just staying on social media is kind of dangerous because I work with like homeless women and there's, first of all, most women are here because of men, like an abusive relationship and stuff. And one of them, she's like 65 and she's in the street because her husband left her for a younger woman and he left her with nothing. So now she's in the street. So I feel like just being like, let's be a housewife, it's gonna be fun. It's like, there's so much information missing and like younger people are on TikTok, majority of people are like 14, 15. So they're impressionable and not having these stories out is like really dangerous. So it's a great point.
I think you had your hand up first.
Ça. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I wanted to go with Romy said, like, I know before Eve, there was a discourse and there was a personnage that was Lilith. And she was, I think, created to be the first wife of Adam. And then she got casted away because she was not submissive and she wanted to be her own person. And then we got back of how Eve was created out of the rib of Adam, and then to ensure that she will be submissive because she's created from the part of himself. So, and I had a comment, and I wanted to say like how difficult it is to balance our identity with all this content that is shooted at us. Because, for example, I watched those videos, I recognize a few of those faces, and I had the bullet points in my head. And I was like, okay, so I have phases where I consume this content daily and I'm like on binge stage. And I want to like somewhat adjust my personality because like you said, the end goal is to find someone and to have this peace state and this happy ending because I always felt the Disney dream. But then on other days, I realized the consequences and certain things that can happen. Like you mentioned, after 10 years, you chose this lifestyle, but then it can backtrack. So how can one take those advice seriously and want to focus on that goal while you can know how it can backlash on you? And like you said, before, like our youth is really important to us, and we're reminded of it every day. And not even you don't have skills, but you have less youth. And when you have less youth, you're seen as less
valuable.
Less discourse of the wall. Apparently, the peak of desirabilité is at 19.
Yeah.
Already, like,
yeah.
10 years old.
We're done.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a teenager. I remember when I was 19, mine was in the dark. Like, I was just like, not even existent. Anyway. So how can we balance in a healthy way? Because that means our personality fluctuates every day.
Yeah.
And it's not sustainable for notre entourage. So what do you guys think?
I feel like TikTok does participate in a lot of our identity crisis. Like, I feel. Like, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I go through phases for real where I'm like, who actually am I? Like, I'll watch videos and I'm like, okay, today I want to be this girl. And then the videos will just pop up on my For You page of like that specific aesthetic. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be that girl. And then I'm like, okay, but maybe that girl's a little problematic. So then, okay, maybe I want to become that. So I don't even know what the answer is because I struggle with that too. Like, how do you balance that? And especially with an app like TikTok where it's like short videos, like, so it's like you're consuming like 1 million videos per day. You don't even realize. Sometimes you'll be like, guys, go through your screen time and see. You guys will be terrified. Like what? Like how long do we even spend on these apps? I wish I knew the answer to that.
I think the fact that you're questioning is always good. I try to question myself, but never question myself to the point that I'm miserable. Well, it happens, but like I want to be that girl. I want to be that girl. I want to get that dress. I want to be like sometimes I see a girl, I'm like, oh, she bad. I could be that bad if I do that, and you go through and then the next day is like, no, that really does not matter. I think there's no right answer as long as we're gonna be in a state where like we consume these things all the time. You're always gonna go through phases. I think it's non-negotiable. You could stop. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. I know people are thinking I'm taking a break of social media. That's not me. Man, I think just the fact that you're actually questioning yourself, like, oh, I've seen these faces. I know these faces. I watch these videos. Sometimes I want to do the smoothie in the morning. Other time I don't. I think it's fair. I think it's fair.
I just want to add something that I was thinking, and we talked about the videos, and something that I think was hurtful for me within those steps of being the most feminine self, as it was to eliminate part of my personality to be able to fit into that mold.
Yeah.
And that's something that I struggled since I was young, and I know like in the certain culture, being femininity was to be like be seen and not be heard, and everything that revolved around it. And I think thing that I feel is harmful with those videos is just to cut part of yourselves, and it's not sustainable.
It's not. And I always say that you're telling girls to basically try to do this, and then he's gonna like you. But it's like, okay, but who are you being while doing that? Don't speak too loud, or don't get too angry if that person does this, or try to always keep a smile on your face. But I don't feel like smiling right now, or I don't feel like being polite right now, or just advice that we give women all the time is, don't tell him your past traumas because he's gonna use that against you. And I hate that advice so much. Like I have to go into this lying already, like just to make sure I'm picked at the end. So yeah, this is why I always question these videos, because how helpful is it to tell us to not be genuine to ourselves? Like, how beneficial is it really to tell us to lie? Because a lot of these videos, lying is necessary. Like, lying is necessary.
You literally have to lie.
You have to lie. So that's why I'm like, I don't see how it's, like you said, sustainable. And it must drive you like nuts at some point in the relationship. Like, let's say you're like 10 years and like you've been lying for like 10 years. Like, no, I can't. Girl, no, absolutely not.
I just wanted to say that what I think is the biggest issue here is that anti-fatness is really presented really in a romanticized way, when, like it was mentioned earlier, sometimes it's not a choice. So to give you an example from my personal experience, I come from Morocco, where women most of the times don't have the choice. They have to get married to have a life, to make something out of themselves. And that's something that people are trying to escape. And by publishing all those videos, I really feel like they're presenting it as a choice, as a good step to take, something to do, to be liked, to be loved, to fit in society. When in reality, it's just, I find it sad to be presented that way when other women are really struggling because they don't have the choice to be anything else. And also, earlier on you mentioned that social media really targets what we like, and on our feed we're gonna have things that we're are gonna like. Do you feel like Black women have more on their feed these kinds of videos about housewives?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I don't be liking those videos, but I see them all the time. I see them all the time. I don't know if you do.
Yeah. Actually, that's what actually made me like identify as non-binary, because I felt like it's exhausting. I can't. And also, when you grow up as a black like woman, it's like the card of femininity is just like, oh, here you have it. Nah. Like one time you're gonna be gorgeous, and the other time's like, or you speak too loud, or you're aggressive, or you look like a boy from the back, or you're taller than everyone. It's always questioned. So it became so heavy. The divine femininity. I cannot hear that divine feminine energy. Divine feminine. I'm like, it's impossible. It's impossible. This, and you add the alpha male podcast on like, oh, as a woman, you should. I was like, this is a lot. This is too much. So I think we're more targeted than any other group.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Okay.
Sorry, at first I wanted to react to like a little bit to what you said. When you talk about like related etc. So it's a small thing, not really related, but basically I just want to like point out that in the Bible, it is only mentioned like once, and you see that like with like modern opinions, but like the whole idea of her actually being like the first life living like that down because she didn't want to see it on one. That's more of like a Jewish mythology, but like it's not really part of like Christianity. So it's just like something I want to point out. And also like when you say that Eve was like the story of Eve being made like out of Adam's like means that she had to be submissive to him. Like I thought it was like I don't think it's something that's like inherently, and the way that it's like the way that Adam should sound like when I was younger is that she was made out of them, because that means that they're like equal, that they're like the same person, you know what I mean? And like the same way that you were born from your mother, but like you made from like little pots with your father, you're submissive to each other, but just you're still like your own distinct person. So I just wanted to point that out. Otherwise, I just also wanted to make like a little rumor, because like we really talk about like in American like non-American community, and like I see also that kind of thing happening a lot in like Central Africa, because I have my cousin back home. He often like talk to me about also like this life coaches, like family coaches, and they say like we're gonna teach them like, oh, if you want to get a rich man and like have like a luxury life, you need like a skin color. You need to like wear this super long, like 18 inches, like straight wig, because that's how you need to like try to be a little like don't go too much out on the sun, because you'll be darker. Like men don't want dark women. They want you to have that straight hair. They want you to always be presented, look good and pretty. So like all of this is like also, I mean I don't know like other parts of the world, I know it's also quite often happening in Central Africa, where we have to like try to come as close as possible to like whiteness in order to be seen as pretty, and like in order to be like access richness, access like rich life through your husband.
Yeah, and that's true, and people don't realize how it trickles down even in, like you said, Central Africa. And I think you can even look at like let's say like the skin bleaching epidemic, all of that, it's because of this idea of wanting to be picked, because also for a lot of people it's finding a husband is also survival. It's also having a better quality of life, being financially stable, it's all in seeking that you'll still follow these models that we're putting out in Western world. So yeah, definitely. Do we have, Yancy, do you have time?
Got like 10 more minutes.
Okay. So I think you were the next person.
Okay.
She has her hand.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I just wanted to say first, great presentation, and I love the conversations that everyone's having. It's so like insightful, and it's so nice to hear as well, because I see these videos, and instead of having this like, I get so angry and upset, and I was like, what can I do? I can't change anything, but I just wanted to add to the perspective that you guys have as an Indian woman, like this idea of submission. It's like, it's so embedded that you don't even realize, like as a child, the moment you're born, if you're a girl, it's like a daily thing. And like when your families are coming together, your friends, you see that separation where all the women instantly go to the kitchen, all the men go outside and talk about something, right? And it's like, why can't I go talk to the boys? Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
But like, no, come with us, help us cook. Like when you set the table, it's like, you as the girl need to set the table while the men sit and talk to each other. It's like, why do I need to do that? Why can't they do that as well? Like, why is that the separation? And as you grow up, you can't be fat. You can't be dark skinned. If you have dark skin, you're gonna get bleached. Like, you can't be hairy. You need long, straight hair, or Indian men won't like you. And it's like, why is it only towards us as women? Whereas men, they're allowed to look this way and act this way, but it's only me that I have to, be feminine and be this way. And it's like, if I don't look like that, if I don't act like that, I'm manly. I'm disgusting. And I'm gross, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really hard to go through that because even my family, it happens all the time. My friends, their mothers, they can't get divorced even though their dads cheat on their moms all the time because they don't have a job, they don't have skills, they don't have anyone to rely on. And they're stuck in this trap, this prison, right, for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
It's really disheartening.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Thank you for sharing. C'est toi après? Il n'y a pas un, deux.
Yeah.
Un, deux, trois. C'est toi. Stacy, t'es la dernière.
Okay.
Yeah, tu vas aller.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. I wanted to react on what was said about the Bible, because we're taught that Adam and Eve, so Eve is born from Adam's side, but it's actually a translation mistake. When Saint Jerome translated from Hebrew to Latin, he wanted the original text says that Eve is born side by side with Adam.
Oh. Thank you. We had 2 corrections. Thank you.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Stace.
Yeah, but if we don't have time, we're not.
No, you're good.
Okay, sorry, because it's been a long time I haven't spoken English, so I wanted to go back to the fact, I don't remember who said that, but how do you do when someone really wants to be a housewife, or how you do when someone wants to be feminine and so on. And because I've seen last night the movie The Myth of Black Women, which is right now in Quebec, and they talk about this, about how some women there is the reappropriation of being vulgar or being really bossy or being for example there is this big stereotype of Black women to be very strong, very always angry and so on, and so there is this woman in the documentary that talk about Black women, it's not Nicki Minaj, we are not like this, it's not just big ass on a rap clip and so on. And then there is this philosopher that say this is a very complex situation because these women tried to réinverser the stereotype, being, because they are views like this, they're trying to be extra feminine, and they're in the clip, Nicki Minaj is oh, I'm gonna have big ass and it's okay, I don't care, and I'm gonna have I'm gonna dance sexy and that's okay. And I'm just wondering because I think it's really interesting. I don't know what to think about that, because in one hand, it is true that it keeps the myth and the stereotype keeps going, but also it's a way for women to inverse the tendency and se réapproprier those codes. Yeah. So I don't know what to think about it. Is it a good thing, or that keeps these images going on the TV, and that I don't know.
Me, I think I'm against fighting stereotype. Yeah. I'm against that. I was gonna say the same thing. I don't care. You can, at this point you can think whatever, because I'm fighting for who? Like, I'm fighting for what? For like a white gaze or a male gaze to see me as, oh, she's not like other black. No, I'm exactly like every other black woman. You don't have to make distinction. I think that we get lost in trying to fight stereotype in like for a system that was never meant to see us, like as human being, as individual. So I don't fight anything that you think that I can do because I'm like, I can't. I just like, I start from there and then I go on.
I think the thing is, it's me fighting those stereotypes is not going to make them disappear because I did not create those stereotypes to begin with. So this whole idea, and we saw that a lot. I just have an example, like the protest in 2020. There were a lot of black men that were doing the protest in suits because for them, they were saying how we're not like the black men that get shot. Like we're not wearing baggy clothes. Like we walk in suits. But the police were still arresting them. So I'm like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like you trying to be respectable is not gonna erase the stereotypes. And it's also, I feel like us trying to fight those stereotypes makes it our responsibility to go against racism when we didn't create that. And also, black people are not a monolith. Like there are black people that like to shake ass, and like that's okay. And there are black people that like to read, and there are black people that like to play the piano. And I think us wanting to just show the proper blacks is doing a disservice to the variety of black people that are around. So I think that's why even when I watch like reality shows and then the black girl will be ghetto, and it's like it's a reality show, that's really how she's feeling, that's how she is, and she'll be ghetto. And I love to see it because it's like that's who you are, but because then we'll have the black girl that's gonna be quiet, and that's the reality of it. Me, when I look at my friend group, I see that, like I see the loud one and then I see the quiet one, and that's what I want to see being represented. I don't just want to see the quiet one because we're fighting against the stereotypes, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah.
Stacey.
No pressure at all.
All looking at you.
Deja, I want to say once again that this was great. Y'all really enlightened us on many things and helped us bridge certain gaps. I just wanted to add on that, kind of to make a bridge between what everybody kind of said, that globalization affects like everybody. Social media affects everybody on a global scale. And I've seen in East Africa as well, people who are nowadays like girls who are really, really young, 18, 19, who are like come from families with wealth, but who decide to be housewives because it's what's shown on social media. And it's like social media, they call them now slay queens. Like that's what they call over there.
What's the name?
Slay queens.
Slay queens.
So it's in English, like to show how we have our own language, but they call it in English because it comes from social media. And those girls go and they get married with men who are wealthy, and it goes on. And I think that it's very important that we have these types of conversations. And that we take them outside of this room to be able to change the narratives and change people's mindsets, because it's not a one size fits all, and it's only happening over here. It's a global issue that requires us to keep talking about it, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, good ending.
Thank you guys.